Hello, it's been a while. We are back for another Summoner Scuffle. It's been a month. We're doing them more sporadically throughout the summer, just for scheduling reasons. But how's it going, Fuzzy?
I am great. This has kind of been a long time coming. I'm excited for this week's, or this
Yeah.
month's, this intervals.
Yeah, so tell me about the players. So, cmarie and Fair Use.
Yeah, so they've actually been part of the Summoner Wars community much longer than we have. cmarie was around for first edition, and people like Jessic and I think Tortugatron recognized her name when she first showed up on Discord. But like a lot of people that are not hardcore competitive, there's sometimes not as much reason to just hang out on Discord for the sake of hanging out. And they started playing competitively very recently, despite having played Summoner Wars since forever. I talked cmarie into joining the Colby division in League, and the subsequent season, she talked her husband, Fair Use, into also joining. So this is kind of the meeting of the worlds, like the physical gamers who show up at Gen Con dressed as Sarah. Well, cmarie was dressed as first edition Sarah. Um, so like the longtime physical gamers and kind of gamers who only really recently started being part of the online community, or at least playing competitively online. And I think this is timely because a lot of the Discord conversations lately have been about, like, who gets priority? Do we online players get all the errata we think we deserve? Does this leave the
Yeah.
physical community behind? And it's also timely because I think the Seattle gathering, where six of us played together in person with real cards, also colors how I feel about online versus physical game. I think there really is something about playing physically, face to face, that you don't quite get with just playing with these strangers online and trying to be the best. So we actually had an interesting mix of Division 1 and Division 5 players show up in Seattle, and this has nothing to do with cmarie and Fair Use. Um, but it played well. Like, I don't think it felt mismatched the way it might in League. Like, oh, you're, D1 versus D5. But, like, we picked matchups that were interesting, and I think everyone had a good time.
Hmm.
And it didn't really feel lopsided at all, ever. And I think there's just something about being face to face and sharing table talk that makes it a very different experience. And for me, at least, the balance in some ways does matter less. And I say that as kind of a balance nerd, as you guys have figured out. So that's
Yeah.
sort of theme number one: in person versus online. And then theme number two is the obvious. Is like, I've been trying to get, you know, the couples to play against each other on stream for a while. I feel like the time is right to introduce some of the women of the community. So that's kind of a lineup I'm excited about. We're getting some of the other couples as soon as we can schedule them, which is a pain during the summer, which is why we have the irregular cadence. But that's why this scuffle is kind of really exciting for me. Not just any scuffle, not just Prophet versus Aaron, much as we love those types of games too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I I'm thinking about all of that, especially.
I just brain dumped to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I feel like this game would not be the same without being able to physically play it. Like, it just, yeah, I don't know. So something is very different, and the fact that you can just sit down with a partner and just have that be just a game between you two is is great, or between you and your friends. Like, there's so many ways to play this game that we maybe don't think about as much on the Discord.
And there's a different dynamic too when you live with your regular playing partner. And I asked cmarie permission for you to pull up their spreadsheet
Oh,
of
snap.
their Summoner Wars games, every single game of second edition that they have played against each other. So let's pull up this spreadsheet.
So here it is. It's on screen right now, so everyone can see it. And so yeah, so this is the total off the spectrum of, oh, like physical players are such casuals, like they can never. Yeah, it's like this goes to speak against that. This is quite some commitment to the game played entirely physically.
All right, Ben, I'm going to confess I am not seeing the spreadsheet, which might mean I am not watching your stream. So I'm frantically clicking this watch now with 5 viewers button, and I am seeing this starting soon sign. So let me actually try and refresh. Okay,
No.
is anyone else in chat able to see this? Or am I
um
actually the only viewer having technical difficulties?
I just streamed it to you in Discord as well, if that's easier to click on.
Let me try to sort this out because I am super excited about this spreadsheet and I am not seeing it. And I am not happy about not seeing it. So, what did you send me in Discord?
In Discord you can click on it, or just try to refresh the Twitch stream.
So the scuffle is okay. I'm seeing it now.
There you go.
I somehow refreshed my way into seeing their spreadsheet. So up top, you can see kind of the denser colors are back when there were fewer factions. So they've played each combination more. You know, like between the master set, I think they've played every single combination of two factions. And then as you get further out to sort of the bottom right corner is where it gets more sparse, just because there's more matchups to explore. So today, and this is going to be a hunt for which cell they're going to add to their collection. We have Shadow Elves versus Obsidian Dwarves.
I'm glad that it's sorted by wave, like
Yep.
any. Yeah.
All right. So not only do we have this spreadsheet, but we have this randomizer that cmarie came up with somehow, that actually, when they pick their factions, they don't just pick random factions. Their randomness is weighted more towards that kind of the haven't played as much quadrant. So they actually bothered to weight their randomizer in the direction of matchups they haven't yet explored. And I think they said that now that the randomizer is in app, they can actually they actually just use that because it's easier. So we have kind of like the Gen Con goer, hardcore physical game players that in some ways didn't necessarily have the biggest place in our community, in our online community, until hopefully recently. You know, hopefully this is kind of shining a spotlight on, like, well, who are the people that actually, keep the lights on at Plaid Hat Games? Is the people who buy the physical game. So there's the spreadsheet, there's the matchup, and I've talked a lot already, so I will let you answer the question of, what do Shadow Elves versus Obsidian Dwarves look like?
A slaughter, I think.
Isn't that how every Summoner Wars game ends? In like
I
mass slaughter?
suppose it seems like every Shadow Elves matchup, were kind of like sometimes you and me will come out on one side and be like, oh, this faction's like really screwed, and then it's like just not, it's just like the game doesn't go that way at all. But the Shadow Elves are really good at dealing with any summoner that kind of needs to advance. And the Obsidian Dwarves are like that. So I'll be curious to see how this matchup shakes out. Like I've seen some interesting Obsidian Dwarves play of like being more passive, being really careful about how you advance. So I don't know. Obsidian Dwarves are nowhere near solved, at least for me. But the bottom line is any faction that needs to be aggressive is just going to be hit by a lot with Cylinder. Like just every trick in the book is great at assassination. We have Rangers to shoot through units. We have Into Darkness to just pop a blocker out of the way. We have Glinting Speed, so we can kill a blocker, glint in there, hit for 5 dice, return to shadow a unit behind. So many ways to destroy Balzar, advancing carelessly. And then on top of that, Shadow Elves are also just pretty good at the econ game if they get their boost engine churning, just returning units to hand, returning damaged units. It's just a really efficient use of magic, and you can have Shadow Mages just pinging your own gates. So yeah, Shadow Elves, they're good. They're really good. Higrata points
All
out.
right, so
Yeah, go ahead. I was
I
saying
was just gonna
Obsidian
read.
Dwarves can wreck gates, and Shadow Elves loves damaging their gates. That's true. So this matchup actually gives me some PTSD. I lost this matchup last Gen Con against Beans Easley. I was playing Shadow Elves and Obsidian Dwarves. I was just like trying to play my own game, getting a ton of boosts, and they just like came forward and blew up everything, and I lost. That's pretty unfortunate.
This is maybe a sidetrack, but it actually reminds me of kind of a pretty funny tourney game where you would have thought Shadow Elves would have had the advantage, but instead Phoenix Elves blew up their 10 health gate from the start, and Shadow Elves was like, haha, I'll just summon 2 Shadow Knights, take that. And then Phoenix Elves got this ridiculous like Spirit of the Phoenix term, and it was kind of a jokes on Shadow Elves type game because like, you want to help me destroy your gate, be my guest. And it ended fast. So I definitely think gate destruction is one of those things that can bite you hard when you're Shadow Elves trying to calibrate the amount of damage you can do to your
Yeah.
gates to calibrate, to get max damage. And also, it's just easy to be careless playing against Obsidian Dwarves. It's really, really easy to just underestimate like what that, how quickly Balzar can get up to 7 magic or 7 attack. And if he has those not 1 but 2 volcanic blasts in hand, I've gotten caught by that too. So
Yep.
there's a lot of really, really dumb ways to die against Obsidian Dwarves.
Yep, and if they manage to advance, if they get in your face and you're facing down you're facing down Balzar on one side and then Volcor on the other, and then a demon with an axe on the third, like it's just like what can you it can feel so oppressive. Like what can you possibly do if they successfully pull off their game plan. And yeah, I'm remembering too, like just games of just being super aggressive against the Shadow Elves and breaking their gate, and suddenly they're like crap. And even though they can reclaim the gate, just like them being on the back foot is not what they're looking for. And so yeah, Balzer has just lots of tricks to do neat stuff. I mean, not to mention his dice, like just shooting for like 4 or 5 dice, like fairly consistently. I put in like air quotes, but like he's Balzar. He makes it happen. Like that can be pretty mean. You have like Devura for just this great surprise. Second attack, I mean surprise, it costs 5, but just like anytime the Obsidian Dwarves are at 5, you're just like crap. There could be like 14 dice coming from Balzar at any point now. I think of like Volcor and the Forge as more like sort of Plan B econ sort of things, but it can be very effective Plan Bs. And yeah, in terms of crazy tricks, Volcanic Blast, double Volcanic Blast, put an axe and a chains on a demon, and just, like there's always ways the Obsidian Dwarves can get in there and mess you up. So yeah,
You know
it's gonna be
what?
exciting.
When Obsidian Dwarves beats Shadow Elves, it's in always in the most satisfying way possible. Like, I think if I had to pick one of 2 sides to play, I would probably pick Shadow Elves. But when Obsidian Dwarves wins, it's just never anything other than, haha, you deserved that.
Yes. Obs-
Always a fun couples experience.
Ugh. Obsidian Dwarves are S tier in fun. I think that's the ranking that everyone should start debating.
I could not agree more. Like, I think this is just one of the best designed decks out there. And I mean, I disagree a little bit with some of the competitive players that say it's too swingy or one dimensional. I actually do think, and I've been saying this in every scuffle, I think you have more tempo control than is obvious, and you have more of an econ game than is obvious. But that said, I mean, it's a scuffle. They're playing live in the same house, even if they're at the computers instead of playing with a physical board. I'm just rooting for mayhem. I am rooting for them to just go ham rather than play this stupid like econ game. Who needs that?
You chose the right factions for mayhem. Absolutely. Okay, and I'm seeing the
Alrighty. Do
link.
we have a game link?
We sure do. Just got posted.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, so give me a few moments to catch up. Okay, Ben, I'm gonna have one of these moments again because I just got signed out. So this
uh,
is
it always
I
happens.
no no no. No, it's I actually thought I was set up and I was betrayed. So I want you to start with the gameplay.
Yeah,
I will catch up as soon as I can.
yeah, they haven't started yet, and I'm still streaming in Discord or on Twitch if that's easier. But
Yeah.
I
No, the
will
problem
I
with
will
my
go
auto.
as I will talk as I will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Granted says wouldn't be a
Okay.
scuffle otherwise. I agree.
No, it really wouldn't. You know what? I'm gonna watch on stream and just be a half beat behind you. I can live with this. I thought I had the setup right, and
Gotcha.
on
Yeah,
this
there's
computer,
oh balls are
something
missed.
dumb.
Yeah. If there's downtime, maybe you'll have time to fix it. But that's
Ooh,
nothing. So
that's.
balls are missed, but hey, any
But
turn
he
one
got
where
his
you get
boost.
the boost, you're not complaining.
The worst is missing and not getting the boost.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, this really is, I don't like, I feel like Obsidian Dwarves, I'm more and more convinced that I actually don't know how to play them, and they're like much harder to play than you would think. That like, I don't know, like, because I'm just like, oh yeah, Obsidian Dwarves, you got to go forward, this is the best time, but it's like, oh, but you really could like wait and bide your time, and should you, and like, I feel like Beans easily said something in in the Discord recently when I was like, yeah, I feel like Fae are like one of the most complicated factions, surprisingly so because they're aggro. And he was like, Ben, I think like aggro factions are like just kind of harder in general to play than like econ defensive. And I'm like, yeah, you might be right about that. So I don't know. City and Dwarves,
I
crazy
think
complex faction. You heard it
I
here.
think we have a bit of a misconception, and I don't know why, about aggro factions, which is that you need to charge ahead immediately. And I think Vexer just said this about Shimmer C. Fey in the Discord, is you sometimes have to bide your time until all the pieces for your charge are lined up. Like, you don't just summon your units forward, run up and die. Like
That's what I do. But
sometimes as Obsidian Dwarves and Shimmer Sea Fae, you do play a slow game until you can maintain a big tempo rush and really just smother them.
and that is way trickier than playing Savannah Elves. I'll tell you that. um,
I agree fully. I think aggro gets this reputation as just kind of charge up and die, but at least it's easy. And it's as much hand management, tempo management, and econ as kind of your standard top players play conservative and trade efficiently type game. You still have to trade efficiently in order to get to that tempo position.
yeah.
And right now, it looks like we're just kind of, fighting for the mid board.
Yeah. And so I mean after saying all that, like what I'm thinking about is just this first turn where the berserker just runs up and you go up with Balzar. And so after saying all that about biding your time, I do wonder if like against Shadow Elves, you're going first. Like some factions are just some matchups are just tough where you might just want to be like, let's just go for it. Like now's as good a time as any. Like I could take time to build up my hand of Obsidian Dwarves, but that'll just be giving Shadow Elves time to build up theirs and getting boosts. Like actually now's as good a time as any. Let's just risk it and go in there. And there's some matchups that are just kind of like that. Like it kind of feels like all matchups against like the Groks. I mean, I haven't played much of the Groks, but are just like there's a lot of aggro factions where it's just like the best time to get in there is turn one, and if you don't have the cards for it, too bad. So, see, really,
I have some more thoughts about aggro and Groks, but that, I think, is a distraction from the fact that they've made their move and we're not killing time anymore. All right, so Balzar is building up. Cylinder at 2 boosts. Damage gates all around, except for that 5 health gate. All right, down goes Mage. I'm trying to decide if I'm Shadow Elves, am I trying to hold that middle ground or am I shifting the game even further back?
feel like I'm trying to hold it with, well,
I think you have to. There just isn't enough room to kind of give ground and play the disappearing targets game right now.
yeah. I
But
mean, it's
that
not the
said, that
worst. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I was saying that Berserker's annoying, but he doesn't have an axe on him yet.
Yeah,
He's probably dead before he gets an axe.
yeah.
The guard is both guards are gonna get pulled back to keep Balzar safe eventually. But like you just can't let Balzar march forward.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I always just end up having to put some meat shields in the way to just keep
What
him
the
from
heck is
physically being able to
happening?
move 2 spaces.
What is this champion? I've never played this champion before in my life. What? When did this get
This
added
is
to the
gonna be
Shadow Elves deck?
fun.
Go ahead.
This is gonna be fun.
What is about to happen right now? Yeah, so I've like never used. So you can move with this and then move again to get something behind Balzar. I mean, that's pretty
She is
juicy.
gonna be in front of his gate, so she actually can do this. Like
That's
usually,
yeah.
I mean, usually, like when I summon her, the enemy gate is just too far away for me to like strategize like 5 moves ahead and actually get her up there without dying.
Over there.
But
I
that
I love
front gate,
this.
Balzar, I love this. Balzar's front gate is not covered. Although,
Well,
what's the
you
mage
just
gonna do
totally
there?
occupied both of Balzar's like summoning spots that he wants right now. That's a really good play.
I love this.
I would never in a million years have thought about doing this play. I am a meta slave.
We do get, yes, we do get into the meta group think. We totally are guilty of that.
Getting the 3 for
Yep.
3s to boot. Can we get the other one?
Yeah, Balzar can't even get to Celandar and attack with those, even use up
Oh,
to 7 next turn.
screw
3
Balzar.
for 3.
Wow, I mean this is gonna be an inactivity turn if I've ever seen it or something. I hope we've
Balzar,
drawn the gate. Please tell me we have the
I
gate.
mean, Balzar's kind of within volcanic blast range, but he can't attack and he can't summon.
This is amazing. I I am not joking when I say I think this is the first like legitimate Talia play I've ever seen. Like I've seen Talia summoned in games like kind of just as a 5 cost 3/7. Like I've never seen a play where it's like Talia
It's
just did
not real at
something
this point.
that made this game unique. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we I don't know. I feel like it's kind of this blood sport to declare various champs useless, and I've done this too. Like, it's a game. It's a game of pick on Jacob. Like who can pick on Jacob Eldwin the hardest? Who can take him down like the worst. But now we have Talia blocking the front gate spot, even if without her ability, she's kind of a big-bodied nuisance. Balzar better have
Oh
a
my
gate.
goodness, Balzar does not have a gate.
Balzar doesn't have a gate.
All right, well we might be looking for a game 2 pretty soon. Did we get the boost off that? We did, right? Yeah. Um. Yeah, this seems kind of like a death wish, but we shall see. 8 magic is pretty threatening. So like you don't. It kind of feels like a game of chicken because it's like you don't really want to have Cylinder just go and hit Balzar and be within range of all class. So maybe you don't do that unless you have the glinting speed.
Playing chicken with big 5 bow attacks is just kind of the best part of Summoner Wars. Because you could play chicken and both miss.
Yeah. It's a shame too not to have Talia like move 1 space down to the gate and like grab a ranged unit
And
or something. Just yeah, keep this gate out of commission.
That would be hilarious and evil.
All right. Well, is this about to be like do they have Devura and willpower sort of game? Because,
Yeah.
oh, interesting. Opting to just pull the Seeker. I mean, that makes sense, I guess, if it's gonna get blasted anyways. Um, all right. Well, this game has become, does Balthar have Devura and Willpower in hand? Does Balthar have the killing shot? Are
Well,
you all caught? Are you caught up that you saw the
Devura,
five?
Willpower,
Yeah.
and V Blast.
Devura, Willpower, and V Blast. That'll do it. That'll win you the game right now. Anything short of that, and yeah, it's not looking great. I wonder how many cards they held last turn.
I mean, they've been. I've
Oh,
lost track of. Oh, okay, part one. Part one.
oh, Sworn will
Well,
help too.
close enough to Willpower. Close enough.
Yeah, that counts, I guess.
Like, no, let's not.
That's unfortunate.
Well, no Ember Guard. How is Balzar going to survive another turn anyway?
It looks like he's not. Wow, so many boosts too.
So much. Yeah. One turn away. Oh my gosh. Well, I did call that Solendar is capable of missing, but
Yeah, I mean, even without the Volk Blast, there was technically a shot at lethal there, just with a Devura attack.
I think I would have gone for lethal rather than kind of hoping the other player whips that hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real game of chicken this time, I guess.
Bring Solendar up.
You gotta do
That's
it.
like the best ending is the summoner versus summoner endings. The pause. The have I missed anything? Yeah. I mean, yes, Lucian could have gotten the kill, but you know, you just gotta.
Balzer has sanctity up. Crap.
Balzer has sanctity up. We're doing exactly. Exactly.
And 5 range dice
down.
do hit for once. You think you want to invite them to play another one, or what are you thinking?
I think we can get the option, but I'm actually happy to chat.
Good
Sad to watch a couple angrily fight live on stream. I think let's bring them in for chat would be my my take. Like I want to hear I want to hear about the aftermath. But I mean, you know what? We can offer. We're within the half-hour mark. I think we forgot to bring it up to them earlier, so we'll see if they're caught by surprise. Hey guys, want a rematch? It's such like the siblings playing against each other thing. Like when one of them loses, it's like rematch. Let's play again. Best of 3. Best of 5.
That's what I
Best
do
of keep
every
going
time.
until I win. It's such the little brother thing to just keep going up like best of until like your sibling punches you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, little secret about me, if you absolutely crush me in a matchup, like if I just get destroyed, I'm going to immediately want a rematch. Like I'm gonna be like, no, I can do that better. Surely.
All right, we'll give them a
don't.
little bit of time for a breather and a response. I actually don't think we managed to warn about the rematch, but we'll see how they want to roll. Okay, they're up for another one.
Cool. I mean, it seems
All
like
right.
I like that they play fast, so next one might be
Yes.
fast as well.
Yep.
All right.
All right. I'm guessing that Ben is offering them a choice of factions, so we'll see what they decide. Yeah, Hargrada interrupting a shouting match, obviously. Oh, I mean, I'm sure that they're, we can ask once we have them on chat, like whether they've been kind of, playing in different rooms like Colby and Joe did at the Plaid Hat Games office, so they can't like really see each other or make eye contact or smell fear, or if they're just sitting right next to each other, like taunting each other, like over whether they have Devura, Volcanic Blast, and
Yeah.
willpower.
Hearing Colby talk about it, I was like hearing Joe just like cackling when he missed whatever the crazy roll was.
I think that was their configuration. Is I think they tell me if I'm wrong. I think they could like kind of hear each other, but not necessarily see each other.
Yeah, they were like in
Like,
different offices, but their doors were open or something.
yeah, like they weren't in each other's face, and honestly, they don't have to like deal with that person like at dinner.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Fungal dwarves versus mountain Vargath. All right, they're getting that set up.
Yeah, have you listened to the podcasts with Beans as the Mountain Pargath expert?
I have not yet, and that is one of the ones I am most looking forward to. And I'll give a secret, it's just because I have been neither working out nor folding laundry. But I actually have a long drive to Portland coming up, so that means that I will
Let's catch
be
up on
catching
all of
up
them.
on all Summoner
Yeah,
Wars content.
that's sort of how I do it. Yeah, no, I actually haven't listened to it either. I need to get it. I'll usually like wait for a few to back up, and then I just like binge them all.
Well, audio is easier to consume than video.
It
That's
really
just kind
is.
of that's the reality of all this great content that people have been putting out lately. Is like I can't catch up on Clarissamus's Faction Masters games during my drive, although I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, good thing we narrate the game so well that like you really only need to listen to it, and a vivid picture will be painted in your mind.
Well, good thing you narrate them while I'm futzing with my technical setup.
Yes.
Like, good thing you're forced to be descriptive because I'm trying to figure out how and why I got logged out again. I'll say this, it's part of the reason. It's just because this is a computer I never use except for Summoner Wars streaming.
It's
So
the
there's
Summoner
always
Wars computer.
it really well, it's
You
my
heard it
husband's
here.
computer, and it's my husband's computer and the Summoner Wars computer.
All right.
So every time there's a different
The
like
link
fight with technology.
is back. The game has begun. Are you
All
still
right.
watching on a few second delay? Is
No,
that
I
what
am
it?
not. I
Oh,
am
you're
all
back.
caught up and good.
Oh, snap. It's a real pain to keep up all the tournament games. I think I'm gonna try to, especially since there's all the errata in this tournament game, I'm gonna try to like watch all the tournament games on stream. But that's a side talk. Interesting. Gate over there, Sundervid in the back. I don't know. What do you think's going on in this matchup? What are you expecting? I have no clue.
I have no idea how people play Fungal Dwarves at home with all the boost management. I wouldn't be at all surprised if there's a little bit of essentially a different couples meta. And I am not even going to try to predict how that goes, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if just kind of the standard accepted way to play Fungal Dwarves in particular, and what you expect when your opponent plays them, is just
Yeah.
completely different because you're not optimizing like the way you can online. It's like what people say about Ice Ram and Polar Dwarves is no one's going to spend 20 minutes doing the sliding block puzzle, playing the physical game at home with an opponent who is just staring at them.
Yeah, no,
So
I've totally never done that. Absolutely not. Has not happened.
that would be like your entire 20-minute allotment at a Plaid Hat Games tournament is like one Ice Ram turn.
Okay, I'll be the
So
first time I played Polar Dwarves, I took a 20-minute Ice Ram Glacial Shift turn.
in person,
In
you
person.
played it.
I was like so just like overwhelmed by all the options. The turn ended up taking 20 minutes. I am that person.
That's sort of my answer. That's my guess, is that like we're like I'm already trying to decipher like the couples meta. You know, like just knowing how your opponent plays, but I have no idea how these guys play actually.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of that of just like sort of just knowing your opponent, playing the player, not the game. Like like Joe and Colby were talking about. It was just like, nope, Colby will just come over here and I'll kill him. That'll be great.
But which is part of the fun of it. I mean, there's so many games I play with my husband like that, where I'm sure that, you know, we play differently from how online players play, and who cares because it's the two of us and we settle into some sort of rhythm where kind of the play patterns emerge, you know, the way we play. Like, I will say this, I don't know how Sunderved gives his ability to everyone with this configuration. Like, that's the kind of awkward thing I'm struggling with here.
Move up 2 spaces.
Move up 2 spaces, and you've got the brute and the slinger, and then you've got this other slinger off to the side, and the collar that also can attack, but at least it's protecting your front gate spot.
Yeah, you definitely want to reclaim some of these spots. But if you can with Soonerved and like you got the Rams to do it, it seems like
Exactly. I
seems
guess
pretty.
if you have, yeah, actually, what am I saying? Of course, now that I've just kind of talked up how does Sunderved give his ability, this is the answer, is because of Ram. Now Sunderved can, is he going to move up? Sunderved, move up. Give your ability.
Nah, don't need it. I mean, yeah.
Do need it. Do need it. Come on. I don't know. I would have parked him behind that 10 health gate.
Yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, it's tough. It's tough with that gate positioning to know where to put Sundavad. Going right for
It could be
Koldak.
we listen to that stream and Beans tells me, no, don't do that. You know, you're trapping Sunderved and he can't move up. And that'll teach me for not listening to the Mountain Vargath stream before a Mountain Vargath game I didn't know was coming.
Mountain Vargath, I think, is one of the factions I have played the least. I've recently discovered. So don't listen to me for any Mountain Vargath advice. I got nothing for you.
You know, I'll say this, they are my favorite faction. It
Wow.
doesn't mean that I have the capacity to main a faction, which I honestly just don't.
Yeah.
Like I just get bored. Yeah, I get bored maining any faction past copper.
Yeah.
Um but Mountain Vargath is definitely the one where, like they say, find a faction that suits your playstyle, and that's the faction that suits, you know, my intrinsic vanilla. If I'm playing just by instinct and not geeking out over the Discord, this is the one that kind of suits how it occurs to me to play.
Interesting. It seems like, in my opinion, this is like maybe the most like solid faction to come out of Wave 4. And I don't mean to hate on Wave 4, but we got some weird factions in these last 6. The Mountain Vargath are just like classic beautiful summoner wars. Like the same reasons I love playing Grognak seem like I would love playing Mountain Vargath.
So why haven't you played him as much?
I don't know. Well, like I've been focusing on the earlier. They're gonna get their time. I don't know. I tend to I haven't done so well with them. I find their events hard to play, and so, oh my goodness, that was just the loudest noise on stream. Um, yeah, I don't really know. I should. I'm bad,
All right, so
basically.
we've left a bunch of low health targets for the beasts. And it's funny how Koldak up against your big gate, one way or another, is how people play fungal dwarves now, and it's not how they played them when they first came out. You know, everyone was just like this turtling mass in the back row and just like steadily growing. And now that people have figured out the fungal dwarves shtick, they kind of realize, oh, you know, I have to move up.
Yeah.
You know, I can't just hide in the back and let all my beasts die.
I like prioritizing that spot over the other one.
Over which other? Oh, the carrier spot. Yeah. And we've seen on the Scuffles what happens when Koldak decides it's his mission to destroy the 10 health gate.
Yeah,
I
for
think it was
me,
the Baggins versus Shibata scuffle
yeah.
where we were not convinced that Koldak could kill that gate in time to do anything meaningful, and he did.
4 melee is a lot.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler, who's ever going to binge on all their back streams?
Everyone's got to do it, I'm sure.
All right, what are we doing with this caller here? Are we resting on our laurels from the past game? Slinger can kill the carrier, but they're just going to be... Oh. This is fun. It's an annoying position for Koldak to try and get, for anyone to try and get that Slinger. Like, it's only 2 life, but stringing yourself out is just, for that far away from Koldak feels kind of bad.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the meat shield. All right, are we going to do this? Are we going to kill that beast?
Yes, we are.
Down with the beast. Up with the boosts. And this isn't horrific upkeep yet if you're playing at home.
I'm telling you, fungal dwarves only get more fun when you have to put a million boosts everywhere. It's great.
You know, when I was playing with the crowd in Seattle, like, I was just literally drawing random decks out of Breeze's box.
Yeah.
And at the time I randomly drew fungal dwarves, I just kind of looked at it and went, then my head hurts. Like, give me a mulligan on that draw. You know, let me respin the wheel.
Yeah, it's worth it. You gotta try it. Like I really think, and I really think especially learning factions, it's way better to start learning fungal dwarves in person because like if you're just letting if you're doing on the app, it's just like, oh, the app did a bunch of things. I'm not really sure what happened, whatever. Like, but if you do it in person, like you really gotta know how everything works.
I could see that. I'll say this, like, just playing in person, I found much more just mentally taxing by the end of the game than online. And not even playing fungal dwarves, and not even necessarily because of the upkeep, but just something about, I think, being in a game store with, like, 6 other Summoner Wars players, and you're just mentally keeping track of your opponent, the people around you, like the ambiance of the store, the upkeep of the game. I mean, it was fun, but it was very different from being focused on your screen.
Huh.
And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that in a way like, oh, those are distractions. I'm just saying that's just part of the universe. That's part of the gaming environment.
Yeah.
And having someone kind of hovering and watching and maybe providing side commentary, like, it just makes it a very different and very fun experience.
Yeah.
It's not unlike people watching a game on stream. It's like, you've completed your game against your opponent. I'll just, like, glance over at the table of those people who are still gaming next to me and see how they're playing.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, that's a good time to shout out the extravaganza we did. I think last weekend. Because that was very much how that felt. Like you finish your game and then oh, there's still some other people playing. Let's hop in that table, that digital voice table, and see how they're doing. So.
Were people commenting on those games, or just kind of watching quietly?
Oh yeah, no, we there was a peanut gallery by the end of it. We were yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Oh, playing the game with the peanut gallery is one of the most fun things you can do, I think.
Yeah, no, the finals there were just like 8 people trash talking and then 2 people actually playing.
That is awesome. All right, so we're going for the fortress approach as Mountain Vargath.
Yeah, the
This is.
brutes seem like the star of the show. Yeah. Ooh,
I
that's
think
that's a
we're
good
trying to
kill.
win on Econ.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to beat the fungal dwarves on Econ.
That's how you got to do it.
not saying fungal dwarves are an auto win on econ any more than Groks are, but you would definitely think they were sometimes by the way we kind of, oversimplify the game when we're talking about it on Discord. Don't you want I'm not saying do this, but don't you like secretly want Koldak planting himself right in between those two Mountain Vargath gates just for like the Tetris-like satisfaction of moving pieces?
That's what I always wanted. Like a few turns ago, like I wanted Sundervid to do that actually, to like park in front of the
Yeah.
beasts, like, and instead they went for
Oh my
the slinger.
god, like Sunderved, like 300 Sunderved. Like I'm just gonna take down one beast after another.
That's how I play against. I mean, if they got the demand, you get super punished, but I will not hesitate just to plant my summoner in front of the wall of beasts, take them down one at a time.
Well, I mean, it's such a pretty formation when Maldaria can do that. Like, shoot between the two gates and then plant her blocker right there. Like, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
That gate's going down.
Oh, snap.
And is the brute taking that spot back? I think it has to. I think it has to just butt heads with that mage and kind of leave fungal dwarves strung out in a line.
There's a world where you don't, and just like you just go for the 3-on-3. Because then the beast needs to come all the way. A new beast needs to move all the way there.
This is true. And Koldak could shift the game all the way to. We're gonna do it.
You're right.
It's too satisfying, like, to turn down. Regardless of whether it's smarter to make the beasts have to march longer and maybe cut off their supply lines, you just want to play that brute.
Yeah.
Like I can headbutt you, therefore I will.
Sunderved opening up that gate spot, but also still getting his buff. No, honestly, yeah, I have no idea why Sunderved's there. I'm trying to.
I would guess that Sunderved is trying to outlast Koldak. So running away a little bit, not necessarily getting, the full buff, the full attack buff. But Mountain Vargath has the high health units that are kind of difficult to infect. And I am guessing that's the Mountain Vargath plan, is just kind of hole up, fortress up. And I'm not as sure about fungal dwarves, just because I feel like, why are they sitting at 8 magic each? Why am I not noticing this? What is wrong with me? What does each of these guys do with 8 magic?
A perfectly normal amount of magic. I wouldn't worry about it. Let's see.
Perfectly normal amount to just stockpile?
Yeah, and Mountain Vargath did discard 1 card last turn, so...
Oh my god, Thune versus Tordin! I need this. I need Thune versus Tordin. I don't care about the rest of the game. I don't care about any aspect of the rest of the game. Thune is kind of bad right now. Thune kind of needs more boosts and a boost generation engine.
Well, you called it. That gate just went down.
Well, now... Well, where's Release Spores?
Well, we have it. There it is. There it is. 11 magic. All right.
All right, we got a game.
What a weird game. What a weird dynamic. But I mean, Tordin's definitely the way against fungal dwarves. I hadn't really thought about it. No one plays Tordin. Trash champ. No, sorry.
No, but just like these local ecosystems are kind of why I wanted to just get more people on than just like, what we see all the time when it's like, narrating tournament videos and you're like, trying to analyze like, the finalists games. It's just like this is as much part of Summoner Wars as all the stuff we obsess over. And I mean, I can guarantee there's kind of a local meta. There's like the local, this is how we play against each other meta. And, for me, part of the puzzle is like unpacking it. Like, you're not just playing randomly, you're playing against this opponent that you've played an entire spreadsheet full of games against.
Yeah, yeah.
That gate's going down too. That caller's doing work.
Ooh, are you gonna form up? Interesting. So giving them that gate spot, but maybe, yeah, I mean, how good is that gate spot really if it's just a unit that's exposed? Interesting. It's not what I would have thought to do.
Like I said, I think Mountain Vorgath is just going to hold the fort on the left side there. And like I said, I'm not completely sure about Fungal Dwarves yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure about anything. There we go. There's a beast, but yeah, I mean that beast.
But like, who are you going to attack with that beast?
Yeah, it's not how they
And
what they want to do.
you're protecting that gate. Like Mountain Vargath aren't taking down that gate that easily.
They're one. The gates are symbolic
Yep.
of mountains for Mountain Vargath.
Yeah. I actually like this better because the beast can go 3 for 3 on the fighter, or at least has a chance at it.
Yeah.
And, Koldak can tank hits from a caller, and it's not that easy to. I mean, it is because of Varn, but you still have to waste moves to, move a higher attacking unit there, and, Sundervud has to move to get that buff, and we've basically turned the field around 90 degrees.
Yeah, it's a shame Sunderved's like not like right behind Varn right now, because then we could really threaten a lot of damage.
I'm not sure I would have. That's not 3 out of 3. Like, I'm not sure I would have valued Sundervid's battle leader card the same way as if there hadn't been Vixer and Shampoo telling me like no, you have to keep this card. This card is some of the best value in the game. I definitely might have just kind of been like, yeah, it's good, but I'm exposed. Or my hand is clogged. All right, so Sundervid is moving up, and this is actually... Yeah, I was guessing that gate.
Fascinating.
It's funny, she's just turned that board, or like that 2 gates positioning around 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is definitely Mountain Vargath with a plan that is not the plan that you see when kind of everyone plays Mountain Vargath this particular way. This is not like the I listen to Bean's podcast Mountain Vargath.
Interesting. Just focusing on Koldak. You're giving up that summoning spot, which doesn't feel great, but Koldak at 6 health does feel pretty great. So I see the appeal.
No, it's on Koldak to come up with something. And again, I just haven't read this yet, really.
Yeah.
I have not read, I have not figured out the local meta for Fungal Dwarves. Maybe this is just me on a side quest. I'm not even reading the game, I'm reading the players. But again, it's just psychologically, we all have the things that we find interesting about the game, and definitely kind of the local currents are a big one for me. Is just the couple's experience playing at home, the game store experience playing with 6 people you've never met before, and the online experience, and seeing champs that you'd never see play, in kind of these tournament games.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, it's just like this juicy landscape. am surprised that I haven't gotten tired of.
Yeah. Cooldown's a little bit safe there. A beast. Are we gonna focus that gate? Yeah, go ahead.
No. Koldak, I think, is quite safe in this local meta that I'm convinced I've deciphered.
Safe until Varn kills that gate and forms up.
And Koldak's got to have another gate in hand by now, right? Or release spores. Ooh, I'm going head to head against you and claiming a 6 health Koldak behind a 2-life gate is safe. Maybe this is not like the best
I mean, I don't think he's
battle
gonna
to pick with you.
I don't think he's gonna die, but he could certainly take 3. That beast just did nothing behind that gate. Interesting. just holding it down. I mean, I guess that's threatening if Mountain Vargas just totally.
Not...
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's not bad if you're playing fungal dwarves like Mountain Vargath.
Just holding it down.
The beasts are like your beef. Like they're not like your fungal engine, they're just beef.
Yeah.
I mean, God, it hurts looking at 8 magic and knowing that like nothing that great can pop out of that gate.
That's pretty great.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at the other 8 magic. I was looking at the wrong 8 magic. I was no.
Fascinating. You're not just gonna go right and hit Cooldak for 3? That could just win you the game.
I was looking at the wrong 8 magic. I just realized I've had the players wrong this whole... Like, I had who was who wrong.
Oh. That's funny. But, like, yeah, if you just hit Torridon for 3 on Cooldak this turn, they're going to be scrambled. I mean, I guess you're just going to do it next turn?
They can still get the... Well, no, they can't because there's no commons nearby. But that... Torridon has a pretty... This is going to be interesting. Oh my god, that art is so good. You want Torridon to have carry or something. That's what I want. That's my new errata. Torridon gets carry.
Good luck fitting that on the card.
I don't care. Torridon gets carry because he's a dinosaur and he's sure dragon thing and he should have carry.
Alright.
Yeah, Fungath.
Torridon is so threatening. Torridon is like the secret like game winner, like the Sekhmet. Like just like if you can't get through this pile of health, your summoner is dead.
I am sure I would be a... what's wrong with me and Torridon? I end up never dumping cards for kind of the... how great I think Torridon could be when I have these other cards in hand that could be great now. And I'm not saying I'm the best Mountain Vargath player. I'm saying that even with all the Mountain Vargath health and the fact that he's not as much of an investment as, a heavy upfront cost as... Or what's the word? Let's watch the game. I just have trouble making myself play Torridon.
Yeah. No, it's definitely...
But
yeah, go ahead.
No, go on. This is what I mean about, like...
Yeah.
No. I'm just kind of reading the board and, like...
Gotta have the release spores, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise... Even then, with the release spores, we can just ram it out of the way. Because I like... I'm telling you, faction-specific gates, but, like, I just forgot that it's like, oh, yeah, Vargas have a gate up there. That's kind of wild. So, tell me about that release spores. There we go.
You know, I was sweating even though I knew it was coming. Like, even though there's no universe where it wouldn't be coming, I just had that little please, 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 please.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's what I mean about Koldak being pretty safe, or like feeling safe in the local meta, you know, the local two-person meta, even if it's like making me sweat.
All right. You
You know,
ram
it's
this
like
carry. Yeah, good.
my opponent is, yeah. Well, that's not a ram. I mean, I'm sure it is. Well, it's a goat.
It is a
All
go. All
right,
right.
here
That
we
works
go.
too.
Here comes Turretin. And that beast is still alive back there.
Not for long.
No, it's interesting. Like, we haven't
Ooh,
really
there's the battle
seen.
leader. Vexer and
Yep.
Shampoo's favorite card. You heard it here. Can we 5 for 5 it? That'd be pretty huge. All
We
right.
can.
We take out all these units. There's no way Cooldock can come back from this, right? We're out of release spores. Oh, we're just gonna hit Cooldock in the face. I love it. I love to see it.
Oh,
Yeah. Good luck. Good luck running from this 9 health dinosaur.
this 9 health dinosaur that can follow you faster than your stubby little dwarf
Wherever you
legs can
go,
take
this
you.
good boy will follow.
I want to pet Torridon. I want to
Tortugatron
play
points
fetch
out
with him
that
in the backyard.
Torridon is the rider, not the dinosaur. We
We
don't have a
heard it
name
from
for the
Colby.
dinosaur. You know.
That is the word of God. Torridon is the rider, and I can't. You're right. I could just ignore the canon, or I could wrap my head around the fact that we need to name the dinosaur.
There really is just a lot of that's added to the game by like just like the art and the names and just like what it implies. Like a board game subtly implying something does a lot more for me than like a video game like just sort of like just half implying something. Like I was
Like just spelling it out for you.
yeah.
All right. Is there a world?
Gate? I
Better
mean,
be.
found the world.
We're near the end of the decks.
We really are. It's funny. This is one of those games where it's just like you blink and then you're at the end of your deck.
Is this the first carrier 3+ boost carrier we've seen in the game?
Yeah, it's been a tough game for the Fungal Dwarves. Engine has not been cooking.
But again, I don't think you're playing for the engine if you don't like.
No,
if you're not watching Aaron's games.
all right. I mean, so a caller would do it here, but it might just not have it. So I don't know. You chilling? Yeah, you're right. I mean, Fungal Dwarves are really, especially these complicated factions, are really subject to just like totally alternative styles of play. Like,
And I mean, I do think that's part of the balance conversation. You know, whether we, want to blow it off or not, but just being able to play Fungal Dwarves as like an army, rather than kind of this complicated engine that really there's the color. Let's see.
if you have any other playable unit in hand, well, I guess not, because
Just the other color.
yeah, I mean,
You can
what?
surround Koldak and just chip away at him.
Well, if it was Caller into Brute, you could have shoved the beast away. That would have been cool. Another Martial Forces? No. I think every single time I've tried to like call the play, I've been wrong.
I don't have the faintest idea what's left, not just because, it's always hard for me to card count when commentating, but also because I just don't know the discard valuation. You know, like, again, I don't know what's good to keep or not keep in kind of this couples meta. Those are some
This
nice
is
Mountain
not
Vargath
real at
rolls,
this
by the
point.
way.
Heck yeah.
We've got some commentary from Tortugatron. Colby, ruiner of fun. Dino's name is obviously Baby Girl. Torridon treats her like a queen, much to Sunderved's annoyance. You can see that. Oh, Torridon gets Torridon gets the same treatment as like Tortugatron's rabbits do. Like they just get the best of everything. Like I picture them at home, like, you know, like the humans are eating gruel or something, and like the rabbits are just getting like the best of everything.
I believe it. Oh, did we discard up to 5 as Vargath? We did.
That we
All right,
did.
it's got to be Quinn. Gwen cannot assassinate summoners. Very sad. Yeah, you're gonna need the gate to not die here. There you go.
Tortugatron says, today I did have a day-old burrito while the bun had a deluxe salad.
Maldar living his best life as a 3-cost 3/7.
This is how Maldar is intended to be played. Like, Maldar just deserves to be going ham and attacking.
No, I'm
Like,
with you.
I get it, but I definitely, you know, just find sort of hide him in the back and make him a boost engine much less fun.
I honestly, I think advancing with Maldar is better even.
You
That's
would
the way.
know. I love fungal dwarves and just haven't like played them. Like I think I just don't have enough game time to main them. If I would if I could.
Wait, Quinn might be
Like
about
they're
to. Okay, I thought Quinn was about to
oh
murder
no,
all of their own
Quinn
units.
is not good. Oh, she murders herself and not Koldak.
Unfortunate.
And this is by design.
All right, man. Maldar is dead. He doesn't know it yet.
He
He's a goner.
All right, so Torgatron also agrees with farming a few boosts and then getting Mulder into the fray.
Yeah, because I mean,
Good to hear. Good to hear a vote in that direction. If anything, because I think it lessens the argument of Maldar is degenerate bad design. You know, all you do
yeah.
is sit him in the back and farm.
Well, because like the thing is, Kuldak's really good at sitting in the back and farming. Like if Maldar's sitting there and giving you like plus 14 boosts, like a lot of times it's like you already kind of have all the boosts you need as
Yeah, you're
fungal
not
dwarves.
winning the game by getting more and more boosts. Like my
Yeah.
4-year-old actually, it's like he asks all the time, like, what's the win condition? He doesn't say that in words, but it's always when we're playing a complicated co-op, like how do you win or lose? And he would get so excited if the win condition were just like all these boosts on fungal dwarfs. Like just numbers lighting up his little skull.
Number
Oh my
go
god,
up.
I want Shaman to like I want Quinn to survive.
It's possible. It's not possible.
Didn't happen.
FD is down to 2 cards. This is coming down to it. I think Sundervid's got to attack his own gate this turn. That's my play here. Nope, interesting.
They're playing fast too. They're playing faster than I can think.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I
Oh
mean,
my god, that's the other win con is like finish a game in less than 2 hours, which I was having trouble with even in Seattle.
and didn't
Like
attack
that is
your own gate.
such the win con.
Yeah, I'm with you. Finishing games in less than 2 hours is an enjoyable experience.
We are really down to the wire, and I kind of feel like I've lost all ability to read the board because my standard expectations have been like just thrown out the window. Like I literally can't predict a winner or loser because I've just lost my compass of how I think people
Well,
should be playing.
now you can. That mage needed to kill Thoradin.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And if I mean, I was about to respond saying, I think this is over for Vargath. I think Fungal Dwarves have won, but no, like that's me thinking in my like, yeah, like you say, my like attack your own gates meta. Because I'm just like Sunderved's in this corner here, like it's got to attack its own gates to get out of it. Like, um, nope, just
And
Thoradin for the good
down
boy win.
go.
Wow.
The
What
dino win.
what a game. That was super fun.
That was awesome. All right, I am so stoked to talk to these players.
Yeah, that was insane. So close too at the end there.
No, I was thinking long game. I was not thinking bottom of the decks long game.
Yeah, what
Hello.
Hey, so good to finally hear your voice.
Yeah, you too.
I mean, I heard it on your podcast episode, but that was just you narrating how to play, this new game called Summoner Wars Second Edition.
Yeah.
Like it's great to actually, be on something resembling a phone call with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
and so am I hearing right? So are both of you here now on the same Discord?
Yep. Hi. This is the other Ben.
Hello, hello. Well, I love to, but before we start chatting about the game and whatnot, I'd love to just have you guys both in turn introduce yourselves and like how you first started playing Summoner Wars.
So my name's Christy.
I'm Ben.
So we first started playing Summoner Wars First Edition in 2011, maybe, when I was just starting to get into board games at the time. And I went on Board Game Geek and looked for recommendations for two-player games and got roasted by some dude. I mean, it was all in good fun, but he gave me recommendations for games that were much better than what I had, because we were playing like Killer Bunnies and like garbage like that at the time. No offense to Killer Bunnies. But anyway, one of those games that he recommended was Summoner Wars. So we picked it up and we were like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah, I liked how much variety there was. And so I don't play a ton of games. And this is the one that I've probably played the most games of, mostly against Christy. And so I like the variety of it. And we haven't played all of them, but we have like all the second summoners and all the reinforcements. And so we've probably played most of the cards at some point or another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What were your favorite first edition factions?
Oh my gosh. I liked the Mount Vargas back then too. And
Yeah.
who was the Grognak? Who was
Yep. Tundra Orcs.
Yeah.
Classic. Of course, for me, it was Sarah. It was always Sarah.
The Phoenix Elves was Prince Elian was pretty good. Still don't like this Fallen Kingdom that carries over. still weirded out by the filth and the abomination and the warden.
Yeah, we never did play those very
never
much.
Never got real into that.
Just sort of too gross to bother with.
I don't know. Like, I don't know why I am anthropomorphize it, but I feel bad about like converting the cultists into these torturous mutations.
I'm with you, actually, just based on the art. Like, I know people are super
abilities are
excited
very
about second
cool.
edition.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the art looks like in second edition, because maybe in this new style it will be a little more approachable for people. We'll see.
We'll see, but like one person's like approachable is definitely as like unsettling as possible in terms of body horror. You know, like I don't fault that. I think if there's something wrong if you make it cute. But we'll see if there's, something that appeals broadly without being just kind of middle of the road and boring.
Yeah.
And so did you guys sort of lose the train for a while when first edition sort of petered out and then come back with second edition later? Or like how much have you guys been playing the game?
We had the spreadsheet. We had the spreadsheet during first edition, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
And then it just got so huge, we were like, we'll never be able to do this.
Yeah, I mean, the world expanded so much with second summoners, and so eventually it did kind of fall off. Although we have everything sleeved and stored and everything, and we haven't sold any of it.
I would still play it at some point.
Yeah.
But then, I guess second edition got us back into it, and then the app made it easier. Like, so we'll run like 3 games at a time. And
nice.
You can play them a lot faster that way, and that's helped. I still think, like, even though the funny thing is, I still feel like we're fairly evenly matched, even though then I'll go out, like, I've been playing League games for the first time and getting pretty well creamed. And but I think it's good that we're relatively well matched. If either of us got way out ahead of the other one consistently, then that might hurt it a little bit. But and that's what I was afraid was happening in this first match. But then the second match kind of showed that it evened up a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh, we've definitely had like early blowouts among people that, would consider themselves pretty equally matched. So, I mean, it's definitely happened with previous games between people that are not a couple and like, don't have that level of pride to play for.
The good news is I only feel prideful about it for like the first 10 minutes after the game.
Uh-oh. Can you still hear us?
Yes. That was just me turning off something. Don't worry.
The good news, I only really feel bad about losing for about 10 minutes, and then after that, I'm like, okay, let's play again. So.
Well, we were talking about how let's play again can turn into, best 2 out of 3, best 3 out of 5. Do you ever get into that loop?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know. It's just kind of a continuous spreadsheet sort of thing. And I don't even know what our ratio is exactly on the whole spreadsheet.
I would have to run some
numbers,
calculations or something.
We are finding that we're better at some factions than others. And so that's probably bearing out what other people are finding in terms of how strong some of the factions are.
I would actually be completely shocked at if like kind of like players of the physical game or even just players at home have the same sort of mental tier list of faction strength as like people who play online. Like I would be completely shocked if they all landed in the same place. Like what would you guys put as like the top factions? Like the strongest and the weakest?
I don't really like the Grogs that much, but I think they're pretty. But with all the potions, then they're pretty strong. I have a very hard time winning against the Phoenix Elves, so I feel like they're really good. I have a very hard time making the Fallen Kingdom work, so I would probably put them lower. I think the Avians are also really good. So, what do you think, Christy? She's looking at her spreadsheet.
Yeah, the Polar Dwarves seem pretty strong to me. I'm not up on like the meta or what the community thinks, so this might be different. I don't know what the common opinion is of Crimson Order, but I've gotten my butt handed to me with Crimson Order a fair number of times, and I agree with you that the frogs seem really strong.
You're
I think we've had a hard
probably
time making the
right.
high elves work as well. Like the high elves, it's such a double-edged sword with the range of those abilities overlapping. I think I've had a hard time making sense of that.
I keep wanting to chime in, and then you guys say more, and I stop because I keep wanting to hear what you have to say. So just holler me in anytime I sort of like give the answer sheet of what what the online community thinks.
Sure, hit us with that. I'd like to hear.
So definitely, consensus seems to be Deepwood Groks are strong, or maybe the top faction. There's a lot of debate about whether that's too strong. And you can imagine how much fun people debating each other on the internet are. We're not as bad as I think it could be. But that's definitely a big one. Crimson Order is definitely up there. There's debate on whether it's kind of strong across the board or like the most new player friendly strong. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people, will bring them to the turn. A lot of I think correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, I haven't been following. People have said a lot of top players have picked Crimson Order as one of their four.
Yeah, I don't know. I stay away from the tier.
Yeah, I know. I just
From
have fun with them.
yeah, no,
I
no. Well, I think it's
enjoy
interesting
it.
to yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that you guys like will have a different sense. Like I feel like the Discord tier list conversation can sometimes just be like a couple voices kind of getting their way and winning out when like
No,
everyone
what
else
it
has
is,
different feelings, and so it's
what
interesting to
it
just
is. I'm
yeah,
interrupting, but it
yeah,
is definitely bighorn sheep butting heads against each other.
yeah.
It's like literally like the Rams that this faction is inspired by. Just like super thick skulls going at it endlessly. And I'm kind of sick, so I find that fun. I find that fun to watch and participate in. I don't take it too seriously. Even though I do when like I'm debating, because I don't know, it's just amusing is not the word, but it's definitely, I think it just satisfies the same analytical itch as your spreadsheet. Like it's just sort of like just rearranging these factions in the mental grid in my head and like what categories I slot them in. And people debate whether Fallen Kingdom is just weak or hard to play. If I would land on can be strong are also inherently unreliable, and I have a hard time with them.
I have a hard time sacrificing. Like I almost never use that. Is it purge or blood summon? I almost never use those events, and I think part of that's because I have loss aversion to destroying my units, even though you're probably getting a good deal out of it, presumably.
What do you think of fungal dwarves then?
For me, and you probably saw this in our match, I understand that there's this whole boost manipulation thing that's supposed to happen, but I struggle to actually get it done. Like you have imbue and you think, okay, who do I want to boost and then add a wound to? And it seems like unless that's the last one that you need to do something cool, then it's kind of pointless to do it. And maybe I'm missing some opportunities there. I had monstrosity late in the game and it just wasn't realistic that I was ever going to get to 5 boosts on anything by that point. So yeah, I just struggle to manipulate the boosts the way I know is supposed to happen. And in that game, I did have sort of a card management issue where in the mid game I had almost no units that I could actually summon. So by the time I got the archers that are supposed to help you transfer the boost around, there was no point in doing that because the game had sort of moved on and I didn't have the right kinds of units on the board at that time.
Makes sense. Like, how do you find them in like fun level? like in terms of just like playing on your spreadsheet? Like when you land on the randomizer, is it like, oh, I got fungal dwarves again? Or like, okay, cool, I can like match meat shield against meat shield in like whatever whatever faction Ben got.
Yeah.
So like fun level.
I would say average. I'm not like excited, but I'll play them if that's what I get.
Yeah, it's middle for me. Infect is fun, where you sort of where you can just sort of bring out, it's like an extra bonus for defeating an enemy. So that's fun, and then you get that with Fallen Kingdom does that too with one of the units.
The carriers,
yeah.
Would you have trouble getting a fungal dwarves beast to kill another a carrier, the carrier in front of it, in order to boost everything else around it? Like, would that self-kill just drive you insane?
Occurs to me. That never occurs to
I
me.
mean, well, like now that you say that, it's like, oh, of course. But I tend not to think about those kinds of opportunities like, oh, I guess I could kill my own units to trigger this, and that does make a lot of sense. But sometimes it doesn't occur to you when like you're so focused on directing your attacks toward the other person, even if it's just their gates.
Yep. Yeah, that wouldn't occur to me.
Have you run across that in League yet? That just like those sort of like they just did something that wouldn't occur to me moments?
Oh, almost every game so far, people have done stuff and I've been like, oh, I guess I could have done that. Oh, that's interesting. Especially on especially opening moves where like the very first round that someone does, they're often able to get like double done what I would have thought I could do. Like I'm like, okay, move forward, 2 hits, maybe put it on a wall if I'm lucky, and they're synergizing like 2 abilities in the event in the first go. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So yes, I am learning a good deal from the League there in terms of strategies.
Does that change how you guys play with each other? Like just kind of now that you're both in League and playing with people from the community?
Definitely does, although this is Ben's first season. He's just finishing up, and this is only my second, so we're still sort of newer than most in terms of playing people in the community, but it definitely helps us grok the way the decks are supposed to work when you see what somebody else is doing, or when they are playing both factions so well that you feel like, oh man, this is broken, OP. And then you go to your other game and they're everything is reversed, and somehow they still make you feel the same way.
That's honestly the best part about League for me. I just love playing both sides like that.
I think it shows me things that are fancier. Like lots of times my default would be just to like put out as many units as I can afford and just sort of hammer at it. And a lot of Christie's and I's games would end with just like 2 summoners running at each other, and then it's just a roll off. And so be seeing some of the more strategic things you can do is pretty interesting. So I'm trying to be fancier with that, I suppose I would say.
Nice. How did your games against Colby go, Christy?
Oh man, that was a while ago now. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember what factions we played against each other. I guess I could look this up, but I don't want to take up a bunch of time.
So he was kind of just another player.
I don't really have any specific anecdotes from that, really.
So it wasn't like he's just another player, not like, oh, I'm up against like the designer of the game. Like
aware of it, and I thought it was cool. And I remember, back in the day, I had played first edition against him a time or 2 on the app, and it's always like, ooh, I'm playing Colby, but I didn't realize that there was a badge for it. That was a fun surprise.
We were pretty excited when it looked like you might win. When like things were looking up, we were like, oh, whoa, this is pretty cool.
Okay, now I'm seeing my history here. It was Polar Dwarves versus Wayfarers.
So you were rooting her on, Ben?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. You have a fan base.
Yep.
Now, did you ever actually meet those guys back at Gen Con?
I did, yeah. When I did the Sarah Eldwin costume and I walked up to the booth and everyone got all excited. That was fun.
Oh.
So tell us about that. Like what motivated like I've never been to Gen Con, so I actually just kind of it's getting more and more appealing, but it's not something that would have been remotely on my radar until getting deeper into Summoner Wars than I would have ever imagined.
Yeah,
But just Mhm.
me, it was more of a Gen Con thing than a I have to cosplay thing. But like I had been to Gen Con a few years because we live in Indianapolis. And so I had seen all these cool costumes, but I'm just not familiar with a lot of the IPs that these cosplays are actually from. So, there's all this lore and all of these character connections there that are obviously very important to them. And I wasn't picking up on that. So I was like, okay, I should just dress like a board game character who I think is fun, who might actually be reasonable to come up with an outfit for without being like a professional cosplayer. So since Sarah Eldwin was a human character and I have red hair that's at least adjacent to blonde, I thought, okay, if I can make the staff, that's what I need is the staff. And I sort of got some outside help with that. And then it kind of came together. And I didn't tell anybody except Brian Bikey back in the day. And so he and I would sort of like conspiratorially talk about it in these messages on the forum.
Oh, nice.
He sort of helped me plan like when would be a good time to do it and stuff.
That was one of the few practical. I mean, like now Sarah Eldwin is like covered in armor and stuff, right? So this at the time, this was like one of the few outfits that wouldn't have required us to like figure out how to like make it all in foam and chrome and stuff.
Did you help with the outfit?
You walked in the show, right?
I participated in the costume contest that year too. Yep.
But no one really knew what it was at the time.
Not really. All the next to me in line could tell that I was some sort of healer or cleric because he sort of looked at my staff and figured that that's what it was.
Nice. So were you there too, Ben? Were you just like kind of that regular guy that was like hanging out with Sarah in costume?
Pretty much, yeah. I think, yeah, that's what I remember. And I went to Gen Con for the first few years, and I went when you cosplayed that. And I haven't gone to Gen Con in a few years. Well, I go to the food trucks with her, but otherwise I haven't gone to Gen Con. But this year I'm going to go to Gen Con, so it'll be cool to see what it's like. I haven't been since COVID, so it'll be cool to see what that's like. But then we got Colby to sign your Sarah Eldwin card. So
that's right. So let's see. I had him sign the card, and then I said, okay, well, I can't play with this now because it's signed, so that's special. So I have to buy a new pack, So I tried to buy it from him, and he just looked at me and goes, I can't sell Sarah her own deck. Just take it.
Nice. So what came first, Gen Con, Summoner Wars off the shelf, or the Summoner Wars first edition forums?
So Summoner Wars first edition, the game, was the first thing that we were into. And then I would have found the forums after that. And we started coming to Gen Con in 2013, right?
Yeah.
And what motivated like the first trip to Gen Con? It was just like Indianapolis, it's there, it's easy, or was it like I wanted to play board games?
We had just moved there in late 2012, and so then it seemed, and you had found a gaming group.
Yeah, so I was in the process of trying to meet people and connect with local gaming groups because that's what we had been doing in the previous place where we had lived. And so I was aware that some of those people were involved in running the pick up and play gaming area at Gen Con. And so I kind of heard about it from some of them. But I still don't think we knew very many people the very first year that we lived here. So we were just sort of wide-eyed and taking it all in the first time we went.
Nice. Did a gaming group come out of that, or did you like find your gaming group eventually after you'd, been in Indianapolis for a while?
Uh, so I think as we continued to live here, I eventually made relationships with some of those folks and started going to their houses and stuff. And then once we got into those groups more regularly, then we started volunteering with them for several years. And they've since stopped doing that. So now I just go as a regular attendee.
But and the funny thing is, like, the Summoner Wars is not popular amongst our gaming friends here. Like, you and I play against each other, and we play online, and that's really about it.
Yeah, so there's somewhat of an Ashes community that I know of in Indy. There's some Lorcana, stuff like that, but not really Summoner Wars as far as I know. And you and I went to we went to IndyCon once, which is like the local convention that we have once in a while, and we broke out Summoner Wars and started playing it against each other, and people gave us a lot of crap for it to go to a con and then just like play something against each other that we could do at home.
Yeah. But I mean, there is someone on the Discord who has a Colts avatar, a Colts symbol as their avatar.
Really?
So I don't know if they're just
We
a
should
Colts
try to
fan or
find
if they
them.
live around here.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh, wait, Monkey Lord, right?
Sounds right.
It's the Okay, Tortuga, do you remember where they're from? You know what? They have a league profile. Okay, I'm gonna do this right now. You guys can keep talking. This is quick because I can look up where they're from. I don't know if like hopes are high though, because I remember noticing that and being like, but like they're not,
Well, yeah, the Colts are popular elsewhere too.
No, but now I'm curious. Germany. I know. I remember being like, why is this like German location, Germany, nationality, German? No, I remember,
weird. Huh.
I remember having.
Good luck there.
Well, you can. There's an Essen contingent this year.
That's true. That's true.
Really
Like,
branch out there.
No, I mean I hate to promise contestants, but like Erie and Schmeeby said very early on, hey, we're going to Essen, is anyone else? And I'm not sure offhand who else is, but like, there's it's interesting how we clump geographically. Like there's the German contingent, the Polish contingent, and that actually knows each other, or at least the Massimo Stuffy and Lena Lieb from League are all like close friends and close in real life, in real life before, joining this online community. Like the Polish players had a big first edition scene for a long time, like a local scene with local tournaments. And so they mostly all know each other too. Like the ones that have come from first edition to second edition and all, travel to each other's cities to play Summoner Wars with each other, at each other's houses. And, and now I'm part of the Seattle contingent. I've met some of the Chicago players too, because my in-laws live there. So it's a weird, like almost in-person scenes, but not quite. Like not quite critical mass anywhere. Except maybe Poland.
Yeah.
But I think there's always like the Gen Con goers too, and I don't have a clear sense of who, except Ben. You're going, right?
I am. Do you guys think you're going to be here this year?
Be going. Yeah, we're not signed up for the tournament right now, but we are going.
Gotcha.
That'll be cool.
Yeah, neither am I though. I know last year the tournament didn't fill up, or there was like 4 spots from filling up, so
so why no tournament for you, Ben?
Oh no, I will. I just don't have the badge yet because I'm working for somebody. But no, I hope the tournament last year was a ton of fun. Do you guys think if you can make it that you'll sign up for it, or are you just gonna do some other stuff?
Maybe So the tournament, not that people aren't friendly or anything, but it can be a little intense to do like several games in a row.
Yeah.
So that was my experience from when I had done it previously. And also, I mean, we hardly, this is kind of sad, but we don't, our hard copy does not get played very often. Like we are pretty dependent on the app these days, and I feel like I would almost have to like practice playing with the actual cards to make sure that I wasn't breaking a bunch of rules or something.
I
I
was
don't think I would be. I don't think I'd
anemic.
be competitive in a tournament, but I also suppose there's a first time for everything. So maybe have to look at the schedule again.
I think it
Oh
would be
my,
cool if there could be some kind of Summoner Wars hangout that was a little less structured in addition to the tournament. I would definitely attend something like that. And I would stop by the tournament to say hi for sure.
I bet you guys will have the people to make that hangout happen. Like, this is just me scheming and not being there, but like is there at least like a table space or something, or like just space you can be like, we are here, we're gonna put up a big sign and just meet people from the
Mhm.
community? Or do you
Yeah.
have to be Plaid Hat Games and be like,
No,
here's a
there's
room, you like, here's the room we booked for you guys? I have no idea, I'm just asking.
The space is pretty well monetized for this thing, so just having random free spots is not super common, but something could happen.
It's yeah, the tables, they're kind of weird about them where you can sit down at a table, but if then it turns out there was something scheduled there, then they'll kick you out. And then most of the well, I guess we could try to plan something at the hotel where there's the open gaming room.
Yep.
That room can get kind of loud, but a lot of the open gaming spaces you need a ticket for.
yeah. No, a lot of so several of the people that I met, like that are on the Discord, but I only met for the first time at the tournament, we then like just found a table on later days. And so yes, there's Bean Ceasley is definitely going to be there. Him and his friend Davood, and I think I don't know. We'll try to make like um a Discord channel on the Discord as well, just for anyone that's at Gen Con. No, we'll definitely try to have some sort of like casual meetup as well. At least one. That'd be a ton
Yeah,
of
that
fun.
sounds cool.
Yeah. And if we get
How did
kicked
you
out of the
guys-
tables, so be it.
Yeah.
How did you guys all find each other last year? Like you and Beans
I was
and
sitting down
everyone
for my first game, and Beans came up to me and was like, "Hey, are you Ben?" I'm not sure how I exuded that aura. I guess
just like benness.
somehow he knew.
You were just emanating benness.
Yes.
That's actually kind of awesome. No, I would have been expecting Frost Shaman. Like, I'll just stand by
Yeah,
that.
I
It's
need
just
to-
like, if you're not dressed as a Frost Shaman, then I don't have the faintest idea who you are.
It would be fun.
Oh my god! Now you just have to. I'll be upset if you don't. That would be a hard one to figure out a costume for. That would be weird.
Yeah, a little bit.
A
No, this
lot of blue body paint for that.
that would just be weird. But that like like that was literally like my first thought when like playing with when meeting Ben and Jexic in person in Chicago, was like, you're not a Frost Shaman in Brub after all. Like, that was just such the image in my head. And like my son, like I've let him watch streams with me, just kind of out of, I want to watch the stream and like I need to take care of you, and like he just keeps jumping on and asking like, is Ben a monster? Is Ben a monster? It's like there's this little Ben, the label Ben 10 underneath his Frost Shaman avatar, and like I'm trying to pay attention to their game commentary, and I just like have this voice in my ear. Is Ben a monster? Is he going to eat Vexer? I don't have the faintest idea what he thinks Vexer is, but Ben is the monster that's going to eat Vexer.
That's
And
fantastic.
Tortugatron is actually a turtle. Yes, you're like the turtle that adopted a rabbit, which like it didn't occur to me how hilarious that was until something like yesterday. Like this cross species former rivalry thing being superseded by this bunny that needs a home. But since you're here, my daughter is an avid follower of that bunny saga. Again, I don't know what this says about me as a parent, but like whenever there's a bunny update in the off topic channel, then I have to like show her my phone. Look, the baby bunnies are bigger. Look how big they are after 11 days.
Aw.
Following the bunnies as well. They're super cute.
Again, I really don't know what I'm teaching them about like I don't know. I'm terrified of like them discovering social, the social media days. Then now your life is going to be taken over by social media and video games. Like I don't find that healthy at all. But I also can't resist sharing bunny photos and like this board gamer kid. We will play adult co-ops with him and he doesn't get it, but he gets kind of just enough to stay focused and enjoy it. So, like just this morning, he's like the scientist in Pandemic. And this is after my kids have fought tooth and nail to both be the medic. But my daughter was away to sleepover, so we let him try out the scientist. And, it's not like he's following what the adults are strategizing about, but he can pick out enough bits and pieces to stay engaged, while building towers of cubes and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So he like I just feel like if he's the kid, if we don't get him into board games, then he's the kid we've lost to video games. But at the same time, here I am, like enjoying screen time with this kid who is watching us play Summoner Wars online and thinks Ben is a monster. So I'm not entirely sure of my choices, but I really like the people in this community. And I think I've met enough of them that, it's not just like, all these strangers anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely not what I expected at all. I mean, here's a question for you, Christy, just because this is one I've been curious about. Like, I lurked on the first edition forums, like just because I've told people I just kind of stalked this game for a long time. But I wasn't part of it. Like, what made you finally just like join in and participate and hang out?
Well, I've long been a proponent of online discussion of things, even if it's in sort of like an outdated forum type of environment. Like I think Reddit gets a bad rap for a lot of things, and if you want to waste time on Reddit, you definitely can, but you can also like learn how to fix your car and how to do stuff to your house, and like there are all kinds of worthwhile and entertaining things that you can find as well if you know where to look and if you are sort of discerning about the community that you're in. So when I went there, I felt like people were welcoming and I felt like it was a place where I could learn more about how the cards were supposed to work, or if other people had, fun anecdotes from games they had played and stuff like that. I felt like I could meet people and take part in the discussion.
So never like a bad moment or just like kind of that like, oh, like I hate the internet.
I really never experienced that from the online forum. Like the only like borderline bad experience I had was participating in a tournament. Somebody said to me, so why do you like Summoner Wars? And it was definitely with that undercurrent of like, you're a woman, so you're weird for liking this. And that was something that happened to me in person rather than online. I always thought that everybody in the online community was great.
I mean, I think they are, honestly. Like first edition, I just know less about, but I was curious just because I know it's just weird to like, just be like, among this group of like what you presume is like, this testosterone fueled competitive environment. And I've definitely been like, why am I here? And, like here I am introducing my kids to this as if like the internet isn't crazy. But I mean, even that person in the tournament, was it like, did it feel like an undercurrent of like, you don't belong here? Or was it just like, no, really, why? Like, my
I
wife
don't
doesn't like this game. Why do you?
Yeah, I don't think it was coming from a place of hostility at all. I just think the person like maybe didn't really imagine like how that might come off to someone to be asked a question like that because of like who you are or how you appear to people on the outside. So I was just kind of like, oh, I don't know what you want me to say. I mean, I like it for the same reasons that anybody else does, you know? So I tried to not be too snarky in my reply. I think the person was just genuinely interested because that person probably didn't have any women or girls in their life that they like could knowingly like imagine them liking a game like that.
I mean, it's super interesting, and I really don't know why, but when I first came on the Discord, I feel like the prevailing opinion was definitely, like my girlfriend hates this game. Like I tried to introduce my wife or girlfriend to this game and she hated it. And I felt like that got repeated a lot and it like even got into a really interesting conversation with Waterdy about why. Like we're talking about like conflict games versus building games. And like everyone loves building games where, you're building a tableau or a civilization. And even if you lose, like in terms of points and point salad, you've won because like you've created this thing. It feels like you've done something. Whereas conflict games, you're just like out for destruction. And I feel like when I came on, the prevailing opinion was like kind of this isn't a couples game. And then as time went on, and I'm sure it's a groupthink thing based on whether someone just said something you agreed with, so you come out of lurkdom to agree, or someone said something you disagree with, so you just bounce from the server because, you have no commitment to it. But I feel like more and more people come on and be like, yeah, my girlfriend and I love this game. Can you suggest some matchups for us? Or, like, hey, I play on even from Devlin Fish earlier. He was like, yeah, I started playing online and my girlfriend really didn't want to. She just doesn't like playing board games online. And I asked, so like, did you end up like rocketing ahead of her? Like, did that completely screw up the at-home dynamic? And he was just kind of like, no, she still holds her own. Like she's just really attached to polar dwarves and that's her faction and she can smoke me with them. So it's just I feel like there's still a lot of times when someone comes online because no one in their life will play Summoner Wars with them. So they kind of give up and be like, fine, I have to play online if I have to play this stupid game at all. But it just feels like more and more there's also kind of this variety of opinions like we had, like when Massimo I kind of suggested it as a joke at some point, like, hey, we need to fill up a league division, go recruit your girlfriend or something. And I think twice someone actually did, so then like when Massimo was announcing like, hey, we have our first couple in league, I think that was GGVGC, and then now we have three, and now like Erie and Shmeeby are duking it out in that faction masters tournament that Clarissimus is running, where the top player that is the top player from each of the end of season leaderboards kind of dukes it out in this like 22 faction single elimination tournament. So I do feel like the prevailing opinion has changed, but I don't know what the baseline is. I don't know like the universe of physical game owners or like couples whose primary gaming partner is each other, love or hate Summoner Wars. I just know that kind of the tone of conversation on Discord has changed and it's some of it is just groupthink. You say me too when someone says I agree. But I don't know, like this is me going on a rant. I just find it fascinating because my husband didn't get into Summoner Wars. So it's like this new territory where like you play these combat games against each other. So I have two other questions. What other games do you guys play against each other? And I know Ben said Summoner Wars is the main one, but any other that's like kind of caught your collective attention for a while? And also, what games do the gaming groups you play with play? Like the people that didn't like Summoner Wars, what games do you play with them?
Do you want to take either of those?
Let's see. We actually do a lot of other co-ops. So like we played varieties of Pandemic. We did.
Yeah, we've done several co-ops. So we played through part of Mice and Mystics back in the day, and we're partway through Familiar Tales as well.
Oh, nice. We're starting that. Like the kids are a little young, but we're starting that.
We played Dead of Winter a bit when that was when that came out. So yeah, it's kind of like really Summoner Wars is really the only fighty one that we really play against each other for the most part.
You're not the first person that said that. I think Umbral, who we had on, was also like, well, I'm mainly a co-op player, but I loved Summoner Wars. So keep going.
We've played Yokohama a few times, right?
Yeah, we have a few Euros. There are a few folks in town that have pretty robust collections, which sort of reduces the pressure on us to sort of own everything. So once in a while, I'll pick up a Euro or a medium weight something so that we have stuff to pull out. And when we get together with Ben's family, Ben has a pretty big extended family. We're usually the game providers there. So we have some party games and some lighter card games like Bonanza and things like that. So we try to have a well-rounded collection, but also we try not to own too many things that aren't getting played.
Nice. That's really interesting. Like just that Summoner Wars is like this kind of combat outlier.
Yeah, it really is. We don't because we had BattleCon for a while, and that just really never really latched onto that.
Yeah, we also tactics. It's not like it's the only 1v1 game we've ever tried to play. We also had Ashes for a while, and it just didn't stick the way we had. I demoed Crystal Clans. I don't think we ever owned it.
Right.
But yeah, Summoner Wars has been the one that has really been evergreen for us. And the replayability is just all the faction combinations will just make your head spin. Like we really enjoy filling out our spreadsheet and doing our dorky thing.
Yeah, I think we got over the learning curve in first edition. And so then after that, the variety became a plus as opposed to something that's just like totally overwhelming. Yeah.
Have you played the new factions much yet?
Only a little bit. Maybe like once or twice each.
They're interesting. The circuit thing is and that's another example of like self-sacrificing some of your units in order to do damage. And so I think we've done a couple matches with that. I think the Shimmer Sea, I think they have some abilities that I've been surprised by a couple times. I think that's going to be one I'm going to try to play a good deal more often. It seems like they have some interesting options available for them.
It's so interesting. In my super limited pool, I feel like Shimmer Sea is the one that seems to grab everyone and intrigue everyone the most. Like, what about you, Ben?
I played 50 games of Shimmer Sea within the first 2 weeks of their launch. They are so much fun. For some reason, I just can't get enough of them.
No, I'm usually like the sort of the more slow burn person with like testing out new factions. It's not really my favorite game is like the first few plays of a faction just to kind of figure them out. Like it's not like my sweet spot for enjoyment. But I feel like Shimmer Sea somehow just entered that spot. It was just kind of like it entered that gimme more spot. And I don't know why. But I actually have a follow-up question on Storm Goblins, which is, does the self-sacrificing of those guys bother you? And by bother, I just mean kind of put you off the way you described, being put off by like fallen kingdoms, killing their own guys, and not even thinking about it with fungal dwarves. Like, how's it feel with storm goblins?
It seems a little more built in the sense that like it's something that it seems like you should have your summoner do every time, and so you just kind of budget for it. But I think it's more of a I think I just need to get more comfortable with sacrificing some pawns every once in a while.
So for me,
that...
I'm a very visual person. So what helps for me is when I can visualize the line that is going to connect all of these units with circuit. And so to me, it seems like if I can complete that with a reasonable number of units, even if some of those units have to be the wimpy Volt Swapper ones, and that helps me plan it out, and it helps me understand the greater good of how those units are going to get used. Whereas for Blood Summon and like other Purge and things like that, it can be harder to visualize like what is the benefit that you're trying to get out of this. So I think with Storm Goblins, it's going to be more fun to use.
That is super interesting. Here's another one, and believe me, I'm not fishing for a particular answer. Do you feel less of the bad guy sacrificing Storm Goblins units, like I'm playing the evil character, or is it all the same, like in terms of lore?
Be some of that in there. I do. I think it's probably more fun to play a faction that is either good or ambiguous versus evil. But also, they're all different flavors and there's something for everybody, and I think that's great.
Do you think you would have been drawn to Sarah if she weren't the only female summoner? Or is it that, like, well, vanguards are good, so I would have been drawn to, like, that faction anyway, even if, like, Samuel Farthen had been the first summoner?
Yeah. It's probably definitely a little bit of all of those. Probably that I'm drawn to like the virtuous faction, and also that there's a female summoner with also some female champions and that sort of thing. I'm always appreciative of all the diversity that they're incorporating into all the different factions.
Did you get impatient
you
for
would
there
have
to be...
done a woman? You would have cosplayed a woman evil character though, if that had been
Yeah,
your main
yeah,
option.
I would have.
Yeah.
If that was the only choice, like you would have still like just picked someone for the sake of like walking into Gen Con, like I am gonna cosplay regardless.
As long as the costume was feasible, then I think.
Yeah, I definitely would have had limits in terms of what I can craft, but.
So did
but
you?
Like if Queen Eldaria had been the summoner instead of Prince Elion, I think you would have done her.
I could have. Yeah,
that would have been an option. Yeah.
Oh, that would have been fun. No, like, did you have any particular like crafting or sewing skills, or was it just like I want to do this, so I'm going to make it happen?
So I leaned somewhat heavily on parents and in-laws. Ben's mom is a wizard at all of things sewing, and so even though she was in Nebraska and we were in Indiana, she still made that dress for me. And then I got craft paints and I painted the pattern on top of it. And then I had some of the parts for the staff, but there are those rounded edges on the staff that are really important. And I didn't want it to be too flimsy so that it would like fall apart right away. So I remember my mom found an old clock at a thrift store, and then took it apart and then glued it back together, and then I painted it. So I had some pretty high level help. I could not have done it all myself, that's for sure.
Oh my gosh, I'm hunting for this here, Ben. I'm gonna send a link, and are you able to? Sorry, I'm trying
absolutely.
to get to this link. Here, I have this site called Cognitive Bias, but that's the first site I found for Summoner Wars, and I'm gonna ask you to post this. This is like the blast from the past. I just posted it in chat.
Oh yeah.
Like I just felt the need to see this costume and the staff. Okay, it's not a very big picture, but Oh, it's so
Yeah,
different. Yeah,
yeah,
and
I
I
pulled
guess
it up.
like
Yeah, second edition from first edition changed a fair bit for Sarah.
Mhm.
That's what the picture is of first edition.
wow. Did you do the thing with like the hair and the tights and stuff too? What on earth is she wearing? Is she wearing like sandals or boots? I need a bigger
So
picture.
yes, not really very clear. I had sandals, and then I think I had. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous, but I think I found like some brown electrician's tape or
Oh,
something that I
nice.
just like taped to my legs for the
Mhm.
day. But it
Nice.
actually was a fairly decent shade match, so it didn't look as bad as it sounds. And then I did find like a feather barrette hair accessory on Etsy, and I like thrifted part of a necklace or something, and yeah, I
Oh,
managed to find. Oh, and I found some beads that I
Yeah,
attached
that's
to
how you got
the.
those little pointy things all
Yep,
around
yep,
it.
I
Yeah.
did find beads for that. Yep.
Mhm.
oh my gosh. And you said clock hand or clock parts for that staff?
Mhm. Yep.
So like the little archy things correct connecting the cross parts, that's like part of a frame, like a
Oh,
round
Mhm.
frame.
nice.
Yeah. We
Nice.
still have that. We still have that staff somewhere in the basement, I think.
Oh my gosh. You could like bring it to Gen Con. You know what? No, no, Ben, you know what it could be? It could be like the speaking staff when people go nuts on Discord and just like argue past each other. Like, we could just like hand around like a speaking staff and it's like,
Yep.
talk
Yep.
in turn and listen. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Or just a Halloween costume. It doesn't like every time like I've gone to like a fabric store to make kid costumes, it's definitely crossed my mind when you look at just like all these like fabrics and things that just look made for cosplay. And I'm just like, God, that would be so cool. And God, I don't have the time. Like, let me go back to like making this like bird's nest or whatever that I'm actually here to make.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. I have to say, second edition Sarah is cooler. Like, she's actually marching out in battle. Like I mean, this one's more like a mage or something.
Mhm.
Like she's like the spiritual leader. But I've said this before, like first edition, like second edition Sarah getting that 3 attack value buff feels just so good.
Mhm.
Have
What
they
do you
said
think, cmarie? Do you prefer first edition or second edition, Sarah?
Um, I mean, I like both of them, but yeah, the second edition definitely looks like she's ready for battle, and it looks like the staff has gotten kind of an upgrade, right? It's like more golden and more sort of magic looking. It also
Hargrod is
looks like she has like some kind of, is that like a purse or like a satchel type thing? She's got like a
that,
tool belt thing.
oh no, I thought that was like her Bible. I thought
Maybe
that was
that's what
like
it
her
is.
holy book, or whatever they call
Oh, yeah,
Bibles in
that
this
would make
universe.
sense.
She's oh god, that sounds so. I mean, it works for this faction.
It
Like this is the
does. Yeah.
faction about like just like righteousness and conviction and really just like that the Joan of Arc, you know, just like holy vision. But yeah, I think she's carrying her holy book around with her. I think the temple priest has one too, doesn't she? Am I making that up? But I like this. Like we got some chat. Hargrada saying, "You're looking at first edition, Sarah. This is a child unsure of her destiny. Holding the staff uncertainly, probably. And then
Yeah.
second edition is full on warrior queen. I'm all for that. Like this is my fantasy. It's like there's so many departures from reality. Like I got this conversation with Waterdeep about like why aren't they wearing helmets? Like, don't you think helmets would be a good idea? I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I know, but like it's a fantasy game that we play for fun, so give me something that I find fun.
Right.
And you know, so like just I don't know, like I have to say this is just like I'm just so happy to not have kind of these, like first edition Valna's, like, or whatever her name was, like the high heeled boots bothered me. And like second edition, I'm just like, yes, everyone's wearing like normal shoes. Like it's I don't know. I love where they went and the fact that they kind of evolved from like first edition Sarah was like the only female summoner and she was weak, and to like just this like full on universe of like, all these really, really interesting, varied, like not just summoners, but commons and champions. And like,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of there really is something for everyone.
Yep.
Well, we are close to the end of the rope here on time. Any more any more questions or anything you guys wanted to chat about before we call it?
I think we're good.
I'm good. It was fun.
Thanks so much for having us on.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This has been a blast.
Yeah, the games were a ton of fun. Ton of fun to chat. Hopefully,
oh my gosh,
hopefully I get to see you in Gen Con.
talk about the games. I forgot about
we
them.
mentioned them in passing. That's what always happens here.
It's one or the other. Like we either like analyze them to death, or we just forgot they happened and talk about other board games.
It works. It's all good.
It's great.
That's always the way it goes. Well, thanks so much for coming on. Hopefully we see you around. Good to see you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
All right. Bye.
Talk to you later.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. And yeah, so the scuffles will be continuing. We have sort of an uncertain schedule this summer, but there'll definitely be a few getting in here and there. I don't know if 3 weeks or 4 weeks. We'll see.
We'll do our best. It's hard to make promises. It's hard to make promises because like everyone travels, everyone's schedule changes.
They're not going away. That's the that's the important broadcast. Yeah.
And it's the first summer we've gone through almost an entire year, but we're hitting the first summer. So we're definitely just hitting this sudden like scheduling hump of like getting 4 people together at the same time to play live and talk live is harder this time of year.
We'll have to do like a celebration when we hit the anniversary.
Oh my gosh, when the weather